everybody. I'm April.
I'm Dante.
I'm Dominique.
And I'm Jackson.
And we are totally naked. The reason why we're doing Facebook Live today is because most of the country, I would say even the world right now, is grieving the death of legendary basketball player Kobe Bryant. And typically we do videos and we have them pre-recorded so that we can do edits and things like that. But truly, because of who he is as a phenomenal basketball player, a phenomenal dad, as we could see portrayed with him and his daughters, but then also a businessman, a writer, and just a renowned man and of good character and work ethic. And so it's devastating to the entire United States and the country. So we wanted to be able to pay tribute to him with his tragic death, with him passing away suddenly at the age of 41. And so why do you guys think that it's affecting the world so much right now with Kobe Bryant's death?
So I'll start, right? So I think that it is affecting the world, right? It's affecting all of us, mainly for a couple of reasons, right? So one, because of how it happened.
Right.
Nobody expects that when you wake up in the morning and you are simply taking your child and your friends to a basketball tournament, that your method of transportation is going to crash and you're going to die.
Right.
I think the reality of that, understanding that, death is inevitable, but how it happened is a shocker. I think the second point, most certainly, is that who was involved in it, right? So Kobe and his daughter. And I don't want to neglect the fact or neglect to mention the other families that were involved in that crash as well. So I think it was who was involved. That's the other shocker. Most certainly, since we're talking about personal experiences, I am not one who follows sports on a regular, but I am familiar with Kobe Bryant and his impact, not only with the Lakers, but his impact in terms of community civic engagement, as well as how much he supported female sports, female athletics. What I'll say from a personal standpoint is it really touched me in the sense that now people are starting to have that conversation again. The same conversation we had, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to say, what conversation are they having?
So the same conversation that we had when we found out about Michael Jackson. Same conversation we had about when we found out about Whitney Houston. The same conversation we had when we found out about 9/11, about the importance of life and how precious life can be. I think it's so, and this is a very serious topic. It's a topic that we really don't like to have a lot, but we must understand that life is extremely precious. And moments like this really make you should really help you to think more intentionally. Anyone who knows me knows that I preach on intention and talk about intention all the time. I talk about living life with true intention, making sure that you don't just walk around aimlessly, but that you live your life first pleasing unto God, secondly pleasing to yourself, and pleasing to those who are your lateral players on this earth. It is no secret that death in itself is very scary because it's uncertain. There are a lot of questions that we cannot answer. When we're going to die, how we're going to die, when does it happen, but I think this particular instance, it is very tragic. But my prayer, my hope is that things and situations like this serve as a catalyst that help us to understand that life is precious. Cherish those moments, those broken friendships, those broken relationships, those oughts that you have with other people. Alleviate them now, because you don't know if this is your last conversation. You don't know if this is your last experience.
So so basically you're saying that your reason for it was so devastating is because it was so quick and it happened so fast. Like, was that the same thing for you?
For me, it was, going back and reflecting on those people that I've impacted
and making sure that, again, you live in life with intentionality and not just aimlessly letting moments just pass by. You know what I mean? So that's my biggest thing, and that's actually a daily thing that I meditate on, is making sure that I have an impact on everybody who I come in contact with, not just letting life happen. And so this just kind of really shook me and reminded me about that, to make sure that you're focused in on every single moment that you're alive, making it count.
Yeah, I think for me, well, at first, I thought it was not true. I was
me too.
this is not real. Because you sent it to me and was like, did you hear about this? I'm like, girl, that's not true.
Yeah.
I thought it just wasn't true because of who he is. I felt like it would have been blown up, right? The way it's blown up now. I thought it would have been blown up then. And because it wasn't blown up, I'm like, that's not true. And it's so unfortunate because the social media is fake news. Like, social media sometimes can for real be fake news.
Okay.
But when I did find out that it was actually real, my first reaction was like, wow, you really never know when your actual last day is, right? And my heart and my mind immediately went to the families of the victims.
Absolutely.
Right? And because here's why. There's nothing, the people who lost their lives on the plane, their lives are lost, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing we can do to get them back. So now the only thing that we can do is help to pick up the pieces of what's left behind, right? Because my first thought was Kobe Bryant's wife. Not only did you lose your husband, but you lost your child.
Yeah, I think
and that's two different type of hurt, right? That's two, because you don't love your child the way that you love your spouse. You don't love your spouse the way that you love your child. So now there's two type of grieving processes that's going on here. Not only from the wives aspect, but from the kids. I know what it's like to lose a parent.
Mm-hmm.
And I know all the hurt that comes along with that. You know, so not only have you lost a parent, but you've also lost a sibling.
Right.
That's two different types of hurt, right? And I had a conversation with a cousin of mine, and she said, you know, the reality is everybody's online. I'm going to pray. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And she said that, you know, she doesn't necessarily like that hype. Because really, a lot of people really probably not going to pray. A lot of people say, I'm going to pray for you in time of need, but they really don't pray. And the seriousness behind it is this type of tragedy, the way that it happened, the amount of people that have lost their lives, that you don't need to just say, I'm praying for you on social media, under a picture, holding up a card. Like, I need you to be in the prayer closet praying. Because if you've ever lost at least one of the two type of family members that have been lost here, husbands, wives, and children, siblings, sons, daughters, you know what I mean? Unless you have experienced that pain, then you're really not going to understand how good prayers really will carry you through. So I think that, you know, just the lightheartedness, some people...
Yeah, I did, but I did. Okay, but I think that is, like, you bring up an interesting point when you talk about people praying for people who have lost, like when, like the people that are still here on the other side, because I think that, you know, that there are many tragedies that have been occurring, like recently, you know, in Puerto Rico, we have these earthquakes that have happened. There was also in Afghanistan, there was another plane that crashed right after that, and it didn't get as much publicity as Kobe Bryant's death, you know, which was less people. You know, it was 9 people, and I think that the interesting thing is that sometimes we have, it's still life, and it's still death, and there's still people who left, you know, they're left behind, and so, like, what is it about a celebrity that we're able to give them the honor and the due when it comes to their death, but then, like, when it comes to someone else, maybe, you know, just a regular Joe Blow on the streets, what happens to them and their death?
I think that it's number one. A lot of times, it's the way the media will popularize something or make something sensational. That's number one. Number two, I think that a lot of times when you're talking about celebrities, athletes, they are your friend in your head.
They're your role models.
So it's almost like
role models.
It's
That's
almost
what
like
it is.
since I see you every weekend, or with basketball every other night, you kind of, I know you a little bit better than I know somebody even though you don't know them at all. But I know you a little bit better than somebody in.
Or I can relate to you.
Or I can relate to you more. Right.
It's just like a role model. It's a character that you
aspire to be if you
Kobe Bryant, not a character, but I'm just saying,
Yeah,
you know,
right,
the
right,
figure.
right. Yeah, the figure. Right.
It's that you invest yourself into it. People invest themselves into. I'll talk about me. I am a humongous Tyler Perry fan, and if this video come across your desk, Tyler Perry, I'm gonna drop them digits in the DM so you can hit me up for a role on this movie. You know.
Group.
A group of But what I'm saying is, I am a huge fan of Tyler Perry's work.
Right.
I am invested in his work. So that means I follow him.
Okay.
I followed him when he opened Tyler Perry's. Listen, I remember watching Tyler Perry when I was 11 years old, waiting to get a fitting for my uncle's wedding. When he did his first play, well, really the second play. Like, I'm invested.
Okay.
If something this tragic, God forbid, happened to Tyler Perry, I'm telling you, I'll be devastated.
Yeah.
It's the
But
same
that's
thing
because because I aspire to his grit. I aspire to his hustle. I aspire to his business mind, his creativity.
So they're able to attach meaning to their lives.
And
The meaning is attached.
And let me shift, take a shift.
Yeah, you saw it.
Because, as I stated earlier, it makes you also want to look at your own life, right? We've talked about this in several episodes previously about that self-analysis, self-assessment. When death happens, no matter if it's Kobe Bryant or if it's Big Mama, there should always be a little bit of a self-reflection. A level of thankfulness. God, thank you for allowing me to still be here. Also, it should draw you closer. Let's just say you're not a believer, so God is maybe not your first alternative or your first route. You have to look at your own self and say, okay, which is something that I've done prior to Kobe, but I do it often. Look at myself and say, okay, am I being that quote unquote beacon, no pun intended? Am I being that light in a dark world?
Right.
Okay.
April gave the opportunity to share about what's happening in Afghanistan, Iraq, but look at what's happening even in our own country. The Bible talks about the end times, rumors of wars, and this, that, and the third. And so we have to recognize that right now we're in a dark world. How can we, like Kobe Bryant, with his center, with his center, how he cared for his family, how he is a black man, although Jackson and I can surely attest to implicit bias. She can attest to implicit bias as a single mother. As a black man, he still cared for his children and took care of his family, made family a priority. He still, as a male, advocated for young women in athletics, a male-dominated field. How can we in our own lives still set a standard while we yet have breath in our body? Right. And I think out of these examples, out of his life and others who've gone on, Steve Jobs and other people who came on this earth, planted their feet on this earth and made indelible marks.
Right.
How can we, with less money or with more money, do the same? Because when our time comes, it should be said that we made a mark, not for any self-accommodation or commendations or anything like that, but to change lives, to galvanize a culture, to impact those who will come before us, those who we may or may not even know. And I think that is one of the lessons that we have to start taking into context for ourselves.
Yeah, I think that I am absolutely 100% on board with what Dante is saying right now. Because I think that one of the main things when it first happened, one of the things I thought to myself, I was like, at least, although 41, I said, at least he accomplished a lot. At least that he was able to leave a legacy behind. He's leaving a legacy behind. And then, then there, you start to play in your mind, well, he's only 41, but he had a new chapter that he was starting to move into with being able to have the center, like you mentioned, and then also having, like he's writing so that he can write for the animation and things like that for TV. So it's like, who knows what the Kobe Bryant would at 80 years old would have been able to accomplish. But when you talk about like being intentional about your life and the air that we breathe, because it's only a vapor, we don't get to be here forever, we only get this little small leg of the race. So but everyone isn't always walking around thinking about legacy building.
But that's the problem.
But that's the problem. Exactly.
You
have to. Like, my thing is, on a daily basis, I have a mantra that I do every single day, and that's one of the things that I need to remind myself that this is what I'm doing. Like, you can't just, I just go to work and, oh my God, this day need to hurry up and get by so I can get home and watch Netflix. You're not being intentional about what happens throughout your day. Those people, those desks you pass by, those people you come in contact with, you're walking from your car to the parking lot, make it a moment with somebody. Like, you have to create those things. They don't just happen a lot of the times. Does that make sense? But back to what you were saying, I don't mean to cut you off.
You definitely didn't cut me off.
But on top of everything you said that he was doing outside of basketball, we have to understand that the Black Mamba was also a great basketball player. So you're talking about all of the things he's doing on top of being
career.
On top of being the absolute best at his career.
Yeah,
I agree.
Okay, but it's you talk about when you said the Black Mamba. So then it's like, I follow basketball back in the day really heavy, and so like I honestly shed tears when I heard that Kobe Bryant passed, because it's like, man, we're like about the same age, and I'll go ahead just because like I feel happy to be able to say that I was like in the same age bracket as this man. I'm 40, he was 41. Like I'm like, he's killing it. It's like a mentality that he had though.
Correct.
So you talk about like I think that a lot of the shows that we've had up to this point, we've talked about self-reflecting, we've talked about the way we think and being able to process information and what we do. And so when you think about someone like Kobe Bryant and what he provided to the game, it was the work ethic. It was like crazy work ethic. So you think that work ethic goes away?
And when you hear his peers talking about his, I mean, it's there. Me, I don't see him practice. I know it's there because I see what is on the court.
You see the results.
Exactly.
You see the fruit of the labor.
And people celebrate the fruit.
Listen, there's the only difference between me and Tyler Perry.
You gonna keep plugging.
I'm gonna keep plugging it in there. Okay, no, seriously. The only difference between someone who is successful and somebody who is not successful is the work. That's it.
Yeah.
It's the work ethic. Period.
Constant.
Constant work. Constant work.
Right.
So you guys did bring up an excellent point, right? And I'm so grateful you brought it up. You need to live every single day like it's your absolute last day. Because in the reality is, it really could be our absolute last day. Okay? When the families on that helicopter woke up in the morning, they didn't think that that day was going to be their last day. We have to get to the place, y'all, where we stop just existing. We exist.
Right.
A lot of us are existing.
Right.
When I mean exist, you go to work, you pay bills. You go to work, you pay bills. You get your income tax, you get hyped up, buy a couple of sneakers, then you back to paying bills.
Maybe do a trip.
And then you back in the road.
But listen, wait, where you doing a trip to? You doing a trip to Miami? No shade, but Miami not nowhere. Like, do something that's going to broaden your horizons. That's going to help that mind shift. If you're going to take your tax money and go off on a trip, go to someplace in Europe. See the world. Because when you see the world, you start changing your mind. When you start seeing that there's something different than what's happening in the confinement of your job, what's happening in the confinement of the four walls of your home, then you'll be able to say, you know what? Because everything that you guys talked about outside of Kobe, basketball probably was Kobe's dream and he accomplished it, but his eyes got open. And the way I know his eyes got open is because he had done so many things to give back to the community. Like, you don't give your money you don't become a philanthropist because your eyes are closed.
That's true.
You just don't. You don't spend,
You have to
even
see the
Tyler
value
Perry.
in it in order to
Visionary.
Right, all the money that Tyler Perry give out,
But
period.
LeBron
Because
James.
But
he
someone
came
would
from a
argue
place-
that they get a tax
LeBron
credit.
James
But
too,
okay,
but
but
no,
that ain't
people would
tax
argue
credit,
that. But
though.
I'm not saying. But okay, people
That's
will argue that. But I
limitation.
realize that there does come limitations with that, and
Yes.
there is sometimes there is a heart. I can't. I
Yeah.
know.
We're not
there
talking
is a
about
heart
you
behind
that
that.
gave money to some rescue dogs. We're talking about Tyler Perry had people on the ground and
No,
I know.
this
Sorry,
is
Peter.
Yeah, because the
But
people
what
that
I'm
are dog
saying
lovers
is, and I'm not saying that,
protesting.
but what I am saying is, Tyler Perry had his private jet on the ground of the Bahamas before any national help got there. You don't do that for no tax credit. It's like, when Kobe Bryant established these centers and established the heartbeat behind wanting to educate and mold talent in young people, that's not for notoriety. That's because he's seen more. He said, I was in your shoes. I got the opportunity to see life. I need to be able to give that
Give back.
back.
Yeah, see, but the thing about it is we're talking about people's personalities. Like, 'cause, and I think that it would be grand if everyone had mindsets of the leaders and visionaries, but everyone isn't born to be that leader that goes out. And I think that there's people that play different roles. You have supportive roles. You have people that are the main characters and things. You have visionaries. You have managers. And a manager could be someone that's just, they're doing the work. You have the vision, but then you have someone that you are telling them, okay, this is what I'm thinking of, and then they have the know-how to, because it takes a whole body of people to be able to make something happen.
Agree.
And I do believe that I think that sometimes people do get lost in the fact that they may be walking around without vision or just existing. But I think that there are some people who are just content with just being like the head of their households and just managing that house and managing those people. And do we say that they're selfish? I don't know.
No,
I'm just
because
bringing
that's
up.
not enough.
May I say
Go ahead.
something? This is on my heart, and I want to do two things while we're doing this live. While I'm talking, Jackson, if you can go get your mantra, if you don't mind.
He said that's private.
That's
He
private.
never
If
tells
it is,
his sponsors
okay, that's
about it.
fine.
Yeah.
But I want you, before we go, I do want you to talk a little bit more about that. Because what I'm feeling.
I mean, I'm not gonna read it.
Oh, I thought the
You don't have to bring it,
No,
but
but
just-
just
I got you.
thank you. Go ahead and get that, because one of the things that I've received and that's been on my spirit just sitting here is understanding or taking time to really identify what fruit are you bearing
Right.
in this life.
Let's talk about it.
I was watching a panel some time ago. It was talking about implicit bias and systematic injustice. And so one of the things that they were talking about were those people who really don't have. And they always expect certain people, especially those who live below the poverty line, to just pick up their bootstraps and keep it moving. But a lot of times people don't even have boots. And so for me, you have to find out where, no matter where you are in life, socioeconomic status, race, color, creed, job status, whatever, you have to identify whatever your lot is in life. Assess, how can I be the greatest at this? How can I be impactful? How can I be an example? How can I live beyond the legacy of what my parents or grandparents or ancestors were? How can I make an indelible mark and leave a legacy for myself?
So
Not even for your kids, but for yourself first, because you can't be nothing for anybody else if you're on for yourself. I think where the mantra comes in is using that as a catalyst to get you started. Right? Every day is not going to be an easy day. Today, I'm dealing with some throat issues, but I recognize that I still need. No. I haven't been feeling my best. I don't think I'm contagious. I just think it's the weather. What I'm sharing is, no matter where you are in life, it's okay you have to have balance, but a lot of the time, especially if you're in leadership or if you're accountable to your children and to your spouse or to your employees, you have to have that level of accountability or excellence. And so you have to stay motivated. And this particular example of the death of Kobe Bryant, his daughter, and the other 7 individuals causes for us not only to be more intentional, but also question, what type of fruit are we bearing in this life? What are we really producing? Are you producing good fruit? And I say that as an example because everybody who watches this may not be from a spiritual background. There may be some who don't believe yet,
right.
or who may be attempting, or who may be backsliders, or may not believe, or maybe.
So a fruit would be the things that you're doing.
Things that you're doing.
The evidence. It's the action behind what it is that you're saying.
Absolutely.
If I'm saying, listen, if I'm like, guys, I love Jesus, I am a Christian, but as soon as you see me, I'm like, you cut the people out. I'm nasty. I don't give nothing. I'm selfish. Like, you're like, well, I don't know how much of a Christian you really are. You know what I mean? Because your actions aren't showing. But you said something earlier, Dante, that I think I thought you was going that route. You kind of went that route. But I think that if you're like me, you're probably like, y'all, I get all of what you're talking about, but like that's all good for other people, right? Because in my day, because all I know is that only thing that you can see is what's in front of you, right? So let me give you, for you single mothers out there, because I can talk from experience,
right?
When I had a baby, I was pregnant at 14, had Deshaun at 15, right? I kind of thought like this was it. I'm just going to be a statistic. I'm just going to have babies. You know what I mean? So that's just what it was. However, my perspective changed. I realized that if I can't change nothing else, that the least I can do is give my son a better life than what I had. Right?
And so that's the legacy.
That's my point.
And I think that there are many people that think that they're pouring into their children is enough.
And that's legacy. Or let's say you don't have no baby mama, no baby daddy, you're not in that realm. However, but you are the first person to go to college in your family. You have now created legacy in regards to changing the narrative about your family. Now, it's not enough just to go to college. So what are you going to do with this education? Are you going to go back and teach your younger cousins? Are you going to go back and get your siblings? Are you even going to educate your mom and your dad? You know, there has been even things that I've learned that I had to go back and share with my parents, to share with my little brother, to share with my family members, so I can help them build legacy and changing the narrative of where our family direction is going. You can be the one that break generational curses. If alcoholism is a generational curse for you and your family, then you be the one that says, you know what, then alcoholism stops with me. Right? But again, that doesn't happen if you don't change the way that you think and the way that you see this life. Because if Kobe Bryant thought that his environment was it, we wouldn't know Kobe Bryant.
And so then we would be able to miss out on what that person is able to contribute and give to the world. I think that when you bring up a good point when you say, like, if we sit back and we just allow just for ourselves to be consumed with us and what we got going on in our own lives, and not realizing that there is something to offer the world. I think that it was Miles Monroe who said this, and I just loved it. It's like, we should empty. We should leave this world empty. Like, you know, so like everything that the gifts, the talents, the skill sets, the things that we develop along the way, we should die. That's what we should die empty. So, you know, what that resonates so much with me is because sometimes there's so many gifts, so many things that we could give other people if we were to take the mirror and take the mirror off of ourselves and reflect it on others that we could be able to pour into that go to the grave. And it's like right here we're saying, you know, let's change that narrative. Let's not be the people who die and leave 50% out on the table. You know what? Well, this was enough. You know, well, I was just living. I was just trying to survive. Or be the person who says, you know what? I'm going to give 100 every day I wake up. You know, and I think that sometimes, unfortunately, you know, especially here in the United States, we have our public school systems and things like that. We have a system of the way that we're educated. We think that we work to get a job, or we, we're just like, this is our life and it's supposed to be that way. But sometimes, and I think that that's the most beautiful thing about being in the Christian faith is God will start telling you things about you.
Yep.
So then you'll be able to know, you know what, that I'm more than just the job. And half of the time, you're not even happy when you're just getting up, going to work. Mm-hmm. Like, and so what else is it that I'm supposed to be giving and offering?
I think that we get crippled by fear. I thought you got lost, brother.
I'm sorry. Hey,
Brother Bishop.
I was worried.
My kids in the back. I had to.
Brother Bishop.
I get it.
Make sure everything is everything.
I thought you was lost, but I thought we had to cut you off the show.
So, but Jackson is coming back. He's actually going to share with you some. Okay, he may not share the entire thing, but he does more.
I don't want you to share your personal your personal mantra. What I want you all to do, I want you all, one of the goals, and I hope that the co-hosts will agree with me on this. I would like you all, in your own personal time of meditation, prayer, whatever you do to make peace in your own mind so you can get through your life, I want you all to start developing an affirmation for yourself. Mm-hmm. This is something that will allow you each day, no matter if it's in your car, in your phone, at your desk, just say it. It could be 3 words, it could be 1,000 words. It's on you. Mm-hmm. But whatever it is, write that down. Today, I'm going to think better. I'm going to think wiser. Mm-hmm. Today, I'm going to stand taller. I'm going to have more confidence. Keep that mentality. Keep those words in your spirit and watch how it manifests. And I promise you that mindset, this concept, I don't want him to share this, it's personal, but I want you to talk about the importance of it and how it helps you. Yeah. Because I think that walking through life aimlessly gets you nowhere. Right. But identifying a destiny will take you everywhere.
Yeah,
right? You have to have
also
a plan.
too, you can't be afraid before you go into it. Because it's difficult to write an affirmation when you are afraid to get out of your comfort zone. I think that's the first thing. Right. Because I can't sit here and write powerful words about a future that I'm afraid that I could never attain. Right. Or that I could never reach. Right. I think that's, and the only reason why I can say that with so much confidence is because I experienced how fear cripples you. Right. I would have never been sitting up here doing something like this. Granted, I love to talk. I am over dramatic or whatever else people like to say, but I'm also very fearful of what if I just fall on my face, right?
What if it doesn't work?
What if it doesn't work? And that fear crippled me for so long to basically I started living into this, I'm content with the little that I had.
And that's where a lot of people are. That's where the majority of us are. And we're trying to break out of that bubble because those are the people who sit around and say things like, there's got to be more to life than this, and all kind of things like that. Yeah, because you have put yourself in that bubble, and you don't really see yourself coming out of it.
Right, and I think that the cool thing about an affirmation when you are saying that and speaking it as well is that it takes you, like, even though you may be in fear, but it gives you the opportunity to dream. Right. Okay, like you can dream as much as you want to, but then you cripple yourself when you stop dreaming. Mm-hmm. So why not write down what the best things that you could be about yourself and then just dream about it. Imagine something different.
Which if you have ever read any successful person's book, that's what they do a lot of. Is just daydreaming about what the possibilities are, not just looking at what is.
Yep. So step number 1, stop being afraid.
Okay, so this is our shift. Are we moving into our shifts right now?
Sounds like a shift.
Is that a shift?
This is a shift. Okay, so we're going to
I've only been shifting the whole time. Okay. Step number 1 is you cannot be afraid. That's step number 1. Okay. Step number 2 is write the vision, make it plain. We said that before, but it's very evident. And Brother Jackson, like, are you gonna give like one word from it?
I know, because you didn't wait. You took like 5 minutes to get it. I have to get something from it.
But just so that you guys know what my process is, mine is a full page, and yes, I do read it aloud every single day because I need to hear myself saying it. And so I think it's something with just reading it with your mind, but it's another thing when you are audibly saying it and you're reading it to yourself every single day so that you know what you are holding yourself accountable for. So with my affirmation, I do have a personal mission that I have for myself. And I was actually talking to one of my good friends a while back, and she really helped me with this. But my personal mission is to change the life of everyone I come in contact with an arrogant disregard for conventional thinking. And anybody who knows me knows that I wouldn't necessarily say, "Oh my God, I'm so smart," but the way that I think about situations,
You know him.
but the way that I think about situations might be different from what the I don't really care. I give homage to what was done before, but
That could be a
kind of
different
got
way.
us right. That kind of got us where we are now. So why would we continue to do that? And it's like, well, why don't we try this? And it might be not what the regular people do. And I guess that's why my level.
Who's the regular people?
That's what the
norm.
common folk.
Common.
I hate to say that. I'm sorry, but that's what how regular
That's
people
funny.
think. We need to be
Okay.
thinking a little higher than that. If you
Yes.
want to go a little higher than that, not saying high like God, but a little higher than that.
Okay.
So let's go ahead and raise it up a little bit.
With the unconventional.
You really threw me off with that. Right? And
That came from my soul.
I hear you. I hear you. But there's a different way of looking at any situation to get different results. I have mine broken down into different things. So I have a paragraph for spirituality, a paragraph for my finances, a paragraph for my family relationships, for my leadership and my authority, and for my health. And then I will read.
Let me ask, before you read, can we ask you why you chose those key areas?
Right. I was getting ready to
It's a
ask
good
that question.
I chose these key areas because they are the ones that are most important to me. So my spirituality is the number one thing on here because that is the most important to me. Yes,
Absolutely.
above finances. Yes, above family and kids and all that stuff. Yes, above everything else, because if that's not right, I'm not going to be able to do anything for anybody because I need to make sure that I'm lined up. And I guess that's why my level of unbotheredness when it comes is that a word?
Yeah,
My
It's
level
not, but we understand.
my level of unbotheredness when it comes to like
what?
other people is very high because I'm so like unbothered by what people say or think or do anything because it really doesn't, because I know what I have lined up.
Okay.
So it really doesn't matter.
So you broke through fear.
What do you mean?
Y'all better come on. You're not afraid of what people have to say.
Not in the
But
slightest.
but what I'm saying is that's fear for
So
some
spirituality
people.
helps you with conquering fear.
Because my eyes are not set on you. You know what I mean? Like
Okay.
it's not. It's just
Okay.
it's not like what I'm looking at is like so past. Oh, they said he did this. Oh, they said he said that. Well, okay.
Okay.
I'm just unbothered by most things. By most things.
We know.
But we love you for you being you.
All right, so
Just keep it moving. But I will read the spirituality one.
oh, you're
Okay.
so nice.
He's sharing.
I'm so proud.
Yeah,
of you.
I know, and I typically don't. And I'll read the
He did take 5 minutes to get it, y'all. So whatever he gives, we'll take.
I want you to do it as you're led. Do it as you're led.
I'll do it in my family and my relationship. So,
Yeah.
but I won't give out. Well, I guess I give the people's names because I actually call people's names out in my.
You don't have to. You can just
Okay.
say
Yeah.
Okay.
children. Yeah.
So with the spirituality, okay, Father, I am abundantly blessed and made to win. You said,
yeah.
Father, I am abundantly blessed and made to win. You said in your word to be fruitful and multiply, and that is what I will do in every aspect of my life. I'm a beacon of hope to everyone that comes in contact with me. I will use your words to speak life into others. Lord, use me as a vessel and let others see your light in my life. And then for the one for family and relationships, Father, you want me to live in community. Bless my relationships. Give me the discernment to know what relationships to keep and which ones to sever. Bless my children, and I name my children, and their mom, and I name their mom, who is awesome. And then continue to keep them covered under your blood and give them grace. Help our bond to continue to grow stronger. Allow me to love strangers in such a way that is memorable and empowering. Let them realize that when they met me, they had a God experience.
Okay.
You know what
and
I
this is
like
Jackson giving us his
Right.
affirmations, not moves about relationships.
That's what he
Right.
says every day. But you know what I love the most about your affirmations every single time you bring it up is that it is so I guess attainable and realistic, right? He's not saying, Lord, take me to the moon tomorrow. Like what he's saying
It's very
is
intentional.
very intentional.
It's for today.
Correct. Jackson's saying, listen, bless my family. Bless everything that's attached to me. And allow me to love people who are not attached to me as if they were attached to me. You know what that does? That opens your heart to different things that a closed heart couldn't have gotten you. Right? He said about his spirituality. He said that, what did you say? Your word says fruitful and multiply, and that is what I would do in every aspect of my life.
And notice it's capitalized in
every aspect. So he's
life.
saying, Lord, I need to be fruitful in my business dealings. I need to be fruitful in my relationships. I need to be fruitful in my forgiveness. I need to be fruitful in changing of my mind. Right? Because when you bear good fruit, right, that means that your land is good. That means that the soil that is planted in is good. That means that the foundation upon which you stand is good ground.
Right. And the thing is, you also see in these things that I always put, you said in your word.
In the word.
That's right.
You want me to live in community.
He do.
But I'm just saying, I need you to help me with this because this is what you want.
Right. So, and the other thing about it is, I think that when we talk about attracting things, when we speak it and being positive about that, is that we realize that when you are speaking that, like, you're also open to it. Like, maybe Dominique said that, like, when you are speaking it, although you may be, it's not like necessarily that God is just I'm pouring it down into her lap because she said it. But a lot of times we just skirt past things without even realizing that it is happening, or we may miss something that's a blessing. And you know what? You're not even open to it. But this allows you to be open and looking for it too. Right. It's like you're looking for these opportunities. Because why? Because that's what I was thinking. That's what I'm expecting. I'm expecting. Your expectation gets up.
Turn down your expectation.
Right.
I agree. Yeah. Absolutely.
I think everybody should have one.
An affirmation.
Because I think it just gets you focused in for that day, and that's all I want is I need you in every moment for today, and we'll talk about tomorrow. But today I need you here.
And that's living today like it's your last day, setting an expectation that today is going to be great. He said that everybody that comes into contact with me will know you.
Right.
Will know you, God. Period. Everybody that comes to meet me, I want them to be able to say, dang, something different about her.
And I get that all the time.
Like something different about you.
Right.
Well, let me go bring you on over here so
I can tell you why.
Make a little copy of it. Do it right down on yin right now.
This girl said a little
put it on my little paper over here so I can get it right. So,
but I will say, I heard on the news the other day that they were saying that Kobe Bryant and his daughter, they were in a church service prior to them leaving, right? And so I'm always thinking about why do certain things happen?
Before you go?
No, I'm just talking about the news, right? Okay. I'm just talking about the news. Why do they report certain things, right? So my thing is, you're reporting that he went to church. So basically what you're trying to exemplify is that he had a relationship with God. And I think that we need to keep that into perspective as well.
Right.
That the difference between a Christian who grieves and somebody who is not a Christian that grieves is that we have confident hope that we're going to see them again.
Right.
Right. And that is hope.
Correct.
Yeah, hope.
That's confident hope. I mean, that ain't hope that happened right away though. I ain't gonna tell that lie. Right, because somebody died. You dealing with that grief. That's just it.
The emotion's still there.
The emotion is definitely still there, so I'm not gonna sit up here and act like people just like, oh, it's okay they died. No, that's not what they doing. But I'm bringing that up to say that it was,
he just did the church finger on the video. But it's okay.
That's okay. But y'all, he trifling. But I think that the news made a point to mention that Kobe Bryant had spirituality in his life. That people who don't know him, but they looked up to his career, they looked up to the things that he done outside of his career, that they're letting us know that he had a level of foundation in his spirituality that set the tone for the rest of his life. Right?
Okay, I think that's good. Because there's people who do good things, but then there's people who do good things because like they have God in them. And so like, and I can't sit here and tell you that I know Kobe Bryant to know that his relationship was so deep with God,
Right.
like based on just
We
a
don't
video
know.
clip. But at the end of the day, you know, like the man's life, he was a phenomenal basketball player. He seemed as though like one of the things that I loved was his relationships that was exemplified on camera with his daughters and with his wife, you know. And so I think that some of the most important things that we could ever aspire to do in this life is, one, love on our families, love on those people, but be passionate about things that that we value, but then also just leave something great behind.
Leave something great behind. No matter if that's changing, you know, giving your child a better life, whether that's breaking generational curses in your family, or whether that's, you know, doing something different today that you didn't do yesterday.
I like that.
Do something different today that you didn't do yesterday, because that's going to get you out the rut,
Right.
for sure.
Right. But it's uncomfortable.
It is. It is very
Sometimes
uncomfortable.
you gotta cut a
So
lot of people to do that, which is fine.
cut them off.
I actually approve that. Put this stamp up, exactly. I put some people on that. And I say that. Which relationships to keep and which ones to sever. Let
ones
me
to
know,
cut
because
off?
I don't need a bunch. I don't need a bunch. But I need a couple lifelines. That's it.
Yeah, so your first step tomorrow is cutting off that drama.
Bye.
Snip.
Peace.
And be
No more
unbothered by
drama, just like Mary J.
It's like, so guys, I know that we've been kind of chatting about Kobe. We've chatted about Kobe Bryant and his life and his death, and so being able to the takeaways from that. Is there anything else that we feel like the viewers would need to know that's on your hearts right now before we go?
No, but I just wanted to make sure that there wasn't
any
no
comments
or anything like that.
Give a couple shout outs to
Okay, let's shout some people out. Dion McCoy, we see you. Dominique Smith, she said real 100, we see you.
Appreciate that.
Octavia Jackson Hyde.
That's my sister.
Hey! Hey!
What's up?
We see you, girl. Thank you for watching. Let's see who else is on this thing with us.
I think that we see Minister Kevin Brown from Impact. I think he joined too.
Hey, we see you.
Yep. Hello. What's up, Kev?
But how you can see people?
I don't know, right there. And then also my cousin James Hansen. Thank you for joining. We appreciate it.
Hey.
Remember, guys, I know that we're jam packed. We were talking for a while, but if there were any comments or anything that you want to add based on this subject of death and grief and being able and what you thought about Kobe Bryant and his life, if you have any comments, please leave those behind, and we will respond. Okay.
Yes, we will. We love you guys to life, and we will see you next week on Totally Naked.
Actually, tomorrow.
What's
No.
tomorrow?
Wait,
No.
today Wednesday?
Today's Wednesday.
I'm sorry, I'm a
He
day
done
off.
messed up the whole closing.
He don't go to a
I'm
regular
sorry.
job.
I don't. My days run together. I'm sorry.
This is why we pre-record.
That
I'm on the day.
why
I
we
thought
don't
that was
do
like
no
Monday.
live.
I'm so
It's
sick.
not Monday.
I'm sorry. It's Wednesday.
This
It's
why
tonight's show.
we don't do no live videos. He done got up 7 times. Took 20 hours to find the information.
5 hours. Gosh.
I'm handling business.
Okay.
Don't know what
Thank
to
you
do.
guys for watching Totally Naked.
Okay, please like, share,
and
subscribe
subscribe.
to
We're on
YouTube.
YouTube.
If you following us on Facebook, but you're not following us on YouTube, please click the link in any of our posts on this Facebook page and go to Totally Naked channel on YouTube and subscribe. We love you guys to life. We'll see you next week.
Mwah.
Bye.